Leanne, that's a different room. Gina, why are we here?
Well, that's
I
a
don't
good
know.
question. Oh, I don't know either. I just thought we'd all get together and, have a cup of tea or coffee or something like that. I mean, today is
Uh,
supposed to be the day off.
Gina. No, knowing you, that's not really. What's up?
It's got tea in it. Of course, it's got. I don't do coffee. I don't do coffee because if I have coffee, you know what happens, right? It's
You know,
not.
my friend, shame on you. I'm trying to convince you, but
It's not happening. It's not happening, Adriana. You've been trying for years, and it's not happening.
I, yep, that's one of my failures, my friends. I could never convince her or persuade her, no matter how much language I used or anything, to drink coffee.
Tell you what we
You
need
did
And
to
she goes,
do.
I don't have any caffeine,
No,
but she
no.
drinks green tea. Oh,
I tell you what we need to do. Tell you what we need to do. During APEP, I'm not going to serve any tea. It's only going to be coffee at the back of the room. So then she won't have any other alternative, either that or water.
That's okay. I'm bringing my own tea bags. I'll be fine.
so,
No hot water either.
so,
No what?
so there.
Hey, guess what?
All
Guess
right,
what,
then.
Adriana? Guess what?
What?
Today,
What?
the students
Hmm.
think that I'm going to run some sort of a workshop on business. That's what they think. But
Okay. Are we?
instead, well, we're in for a little surprise because, some of us in this training have been around a bit. When I say around, I mean as trainers and now as master trainers. And, we've all come from different sectors, different industries, different experiences. I mean,
I
just look
know,
at
you're
our
all my friends.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, what we're going to do today is we're going to get together around a cup of coffee or tea. And those of you, the master coaches who are here, I hope you've got something to drink, your water, your tea, your coffee, or whatever, because this is like getting around the kitchen table and
Okay,
just
my friends, I want to tell you something. This is not a setup. I have no idea what she's doing. She said just be there at 12. Okay.
so,
So I,
so just
I don't
just
know just as much as you don't. So
that's
it's
okay.
okay.
So who likes
The thing with
surprises?
getting together next to the kitchen table, it doesn't quite work. I mean, my kitchen's relatively big, but I don't know will fit all of us there.
We can spill over onto the back patio. You know what it's like, when we start
So
talking and talking
did,
stuff.
did you ask whether we like surprises?
Yeah, who likes surprises?
Not me.
Oh, look, some of us have
I
got our
don't.
hands up. Who wants to meet some really old master trainers? The ones that have been around a bit. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Who would like to
What
ask?
have you? What
You
have you?
oh,
What have you done?
you just wait and see, Adriana. You have to be patient, right?
Oh,
Just be
okay. No, that's not my forte. Okay. I have a high need for closure when I'm in the training.
Anyway, who wants to meet some really old master trainers? I mean, they've been around a little bit and, they've had a few experiences or two or three, maybe. They've got stories that they probably hide underneath somewhere because they don't want to tell us about. Well, I'm sure Adriana has a few. Who'd like to ask Adriana a couple of questions that she hasn't told us too much about? I know I would. Okay, I've got hands coming up.
Oh,
Now,
jeez.
up on the screen, we're going to have another oldie, and that is Christina. Sorry, Christina, I'm not referring to you as an oldie as in age, but, we've been around a bit. And who else? Oh, B. B, you're a master trainer. Come on screen, please. B always has a nice mug of something she's drinking. Where's B? Or maybe she's got the cat
Oh,
at the
no,
moment.
no, she's there. She's there. Here she is.
Here she is. Here
Here.
she is. Now, look,
I'm
B
always that.
she always has the most amazing background. I don't know where she's got all these certificates from, but we might ask her later. And somebody else is Rommel. Where's Rommel? He's beaming in from Canada, everybody. There he is. There's Rommel. Now,
Hey, Rama,
Hello.
we're
how are
just
ya?
Good.
He's
I didn't
busy.
know this was happening either. I would have changed the shirt. It says something that that I didn't want to have said here. What was it say?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I don't.
that.
I'm not
I'm
stubborn.
not stubborn.
Okay, you lot. It's like this. Some of you don't know, but Adriana has this thing called a global round table of master trainers. Now, what do? Do we get there and we talk coffee and tea? No, we don't. We talk what's going on in the world, the big picture of business. We talk about what is AI and how do we work with AI in our businesses. We talk about trainings. We talk about values levels. We talk about all sorts of things. And this is a global group, and we call it Adriana's Roundtable. And we're going to be having a lot of fun. And some of us jump in and help at trainings and all sorts of things. Now, here we are. We've got some of these oldies here, but I'm going to get the ball rolling. Now, be ready, everybody, to ask your question, but I'm going to pre-frame shortly. It's going to go like this. I'm going to ask Adriana first, what's been her most memorable experience in a training? And then I'm going to throw to one of the others. And then it's open up to all the master coaches. You can ask us questions about how on earth did we even end up being here? Or how did we even end up being in this Adriana James round table around the whole world of master trainers? And what on earth do we do in trainings or being a master trainer? I mean, do we go around wearing a T-shirt that says master trainer? No, I don't.
I don't have one.
I don't. Anyway, so we're going to be short, having a little chat here, but please be ready to ask your questions. Where's Clayton? Clayton's there somewhere, I'm sure, because I'm sure we're going to. I'm expecting a question, and Ross might have one too. So let's get ready. Adriana, what's been the most memorable memory you have from a training?
Oh, geez. When you asked the question, the first thing that popped in my mind, I'm going to answer in a moment, but I want to let you all know that, first of all, we have a really bad weather today here with gust winds and lots of rain, and really that's something that's like somebody pouring with the bucket, and hail. So when this happens, there is if I disappear, just is the internet. So I'll log in as quickly as I can, so things will go up as normal. Only that just FYI, right? So I got the problem with if you've ever been in a storm like this, as you know what it means. And it's not like our internet in the house disappeared, but wherever it's coming from, sometimes because of the big winds and rain, that can happen. Just to let you know. My most memorable experience, actually. So when I finished my trainer's training, okay? And actually two things, Gina, that immediately popped in my mind. First was when I decided to take APAP because I didn't have the money. By the way, I'm not saying you should do this, so don't take it inferentially, but that's my personal experience, okay? And I'm one of those people that doesn't need to be sold into anything. The bizarrest thing is like this: when I make up my mind, I'm going and buying what I want. But in fact, if you come and try to sell me, it's not my strategy. Auditory tonal is not part of my strategy, okay? And so, and then please don't do this. I'm seriously, don't take it inferentially because it's not. But that's what I did, right? I set a goal in my practitioner that in the number of years I'm going to become a master trainer. But then here came Ted talking about APAP, and I didn't have the money at the time. And I sold my car. I put myself against the wall. Because in my mind was that's how I think, okay? So you get a little thing about how I think. It was like, if this thing with the getting control of your projection is really true, then I can project and increase my money and my business and my whatever, because I can project peoples and situations that in a win-win situation will help me to achieve my goal, right? So that was my thing behind. So that's one, because I put myself against the wall and I go, oh, what did I just do, right? But that pushed me, and it pushed me in a good way. And the second one was a challenging moment. So I got together with Ted 3 years later. I already started doing trainings in Australia. I got together with Ted 3 years later, and I started teaching with him. Now, at that time, he already had 20 years in the field. He was part of the initial group, because he was Bandler, Grinder, then he was Wyatt Wismall, Tony Robbins, Ted, and what's his name? Give me the name of another old important trainer. He's got the NLP Academy or something like this.
Deals.
Yeah, Robert Dills. Thank you so much, Robert Dills. I also met Robert McDonald, and these were big names at the time, right? So Ted had this 20 years experience, and here I am, and he goes, no, you get on stage, because he always wanted to have a partner, you see, to teach with. You know why? Because it's half the talk. You talk only half the time. And since he trained me, I could, and I was really prepared, so I could take off, and I knew where his mind is going, and then he would come to me, and I will pass it on to him, so it will flow very nicely. So we start teaching, and just about 6 months after we started teaching together, we started the practitioner training. Okay, so first training. And I remember it was a tall room like this, and we were on stage, and somewhere in that side over there is this guy, and we start talking, and we talk, at the beginning, do you remember, first things are cause and effect, perceptions, projection, the most important things we set up in the training, right? And the guy raises his hand and starts asking questions from the very beginning. Answer the questions, all seem to be okay. Here comes the lunch break. Lunch break, he comes beeline straight to Ted, and he goes, and he goes, oh, Ted, a cute chick you've got there, pointing at me. Now, by the way, if you want to offend me, you can say anything, but don't call me a chick. That's my soft point, okay? Just don't do it, because I'll slap you. I just, somehow I don't react positively to that word. I just cannot see myself as a hen, as a chicken. For crying out loud, call me anything, but not a chicken. So I just had to bite my tongue really severely. Of course, I felt offended and all this, and drama in my mind and all this, and I go, what am I projecting this for? And immediately, my unconscious mind is very, very, very working with me all the time. It's very good. And I listen to her always. And what came in my mind immediately was my fear. Who am I? Just, 3 years in the field. Ted's this legend already, 20 years in the field, creator of timeline therapy. It's got a big name, right? Who am I? I mean, just a trainer, 3 years. 3 years is what? Nothing compared to 20, right? And it was my fear. Now, my friends, that's why this is so memorable for me, because it was my first experience how to change reality. So I realized what was. Of course, I instantly in the break, I did my own quick timeline therapy and let go of the fear. And the next break, it was, so after the lunch break, we had a segment, and it's the next break. And he comes back again. I go, oh, no, I'm going to hear it again. He's going to just say something to offend me again. And he goes, you know what? When we started, I really thought you're just a pretty face and you smile nicely, and Ted put it there. But you know your stuff, so. And I just about fell off the chair. Because, number one, it showed me that it was my own fear. It had nothing to do with anything, longevity in the field and all this, because I knew my stuff. But it was my own fear that projected that guy being rude to me, because he was rude at the beginning. And then once I cleaned it up in my head, the guy came and apologized, which was quite amazing, I would say, quite amazing, because it was my first real experience of the power of the mind. And until you have such an experience, you don't really get it. You get it theoretically, you get it mentally, you get it intellectually, but that's different. So that's the thing that my unconscious mind just popped in my mind, Gina.
Well, that's a really good lesson for all of us to think about right there in that moment. Or what is going on, and what is it that we're actually projecting? Where is it within us? And changing it, because you've just demonstrated through this description of that experience for you what we can all do.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I have to admit, Avaiko, by the way, are part of one of the APEP initiations. Avaiko were at work as well, so they helped. I have to give you that.
Yeah. I get how that works. Absolutely. So, Christina, I know you've done some teaching with Adriana on stage. Can you give us the little backstory of what it's actually like teaching with Adriana? What was the experience like for you?
Well, it's actually the experience. It's a dream came true, a dream that I didn't even dare dreaming, at some point in time. And then it really became like a privilege and an honor. It was now what comes to mind, going back at the experience was like, when you think of big names, usually in any field and being around them, oftentimes, people go like, oh, but they know so much, I know so little. But Adriana has such a lovely way of, having you on stage, making it natural. And I felt so comfortable and so easy and so much fun teaching with Adriana and learning from her. And I love the energy and, the jokes we have and the good times, and really being there with the students. I remember one time, this was in Sydney a couple of years ago, and it was the first day of a Prac, and she whispered something to me just a second before the training started, and it was like, oh yeah, thank you for reminding me that. So it was like, and
what did I say? Because what did I say? Because I don't remember.
Energy, remember, energy projection. As they walk into the room. And, just trainers, and something that's got to do with the trainer's training state, being in the trainer state, and being there for the students, really being present. That's something that I really learned from Adriana, and it's really humbling because we tend to, normal people, I got so many diplomas, so many degrees, I've got, so many years of experience. Ultimately, what I learned from Adriana is that what matters is be there, be present with the student, and listen to them. Ask them questions, and this is all that matters. Make that experience matter for them. The experience is not for me as a trainer to show off how much I know, because honestly, and I know many of the people in the training think, oh, but they know so much and I cannot be a trainer just like them because it's so hard. But actually, it's not like that. You have no idea every single day how much I believe I don't know. I realize I don't know by listening to Adriana, by listening to other people in the training. I realize, and other coaching assistants and the students, every single time I realize how much there's out there that I don't know yet. And that intrigues me, and I learn. And I remember, every single time I went learning and teaching with Adriana, that was the mindset. And just keeping an open mind, because there's always more. And even in APEPs, I remember it was 2019, I was in an APEP with Adriana in Sydney, APEP 4. And at some point, she dropped like a bombshell for me. It was my neurons were no longer firing together. They were just like fire, works. And that was when it hit me. It was a big aha moment for me when it comes to perceptionist projection and how it actually works. And every time I hear it, it's like it lands differently. But ever since then, it landed differently with me. So it's an absolute joy and pleasure to teach and be in the presence of Adriana, because I always learn. And it's a lot that's happening at the unconscious mind level. There's so much that, you know, I cannot put into words. You just have to be there in the present in the presence to feel it, to sense it. And it's like, oh, give it to me, Adriana. It's downloading, you know. A lot of information and a lot of good stuff and learnings. So
if I may, thank you first of all, Christina. I appreciate that, but I want to share something with you, all of you. I live life I absolutely suggest that you do the same. It's the most meaningful life possible as a coach, as a trainer, as anything, right? And here is the thing. A master is not a master because he or she is great. A master is measured by how many masters he or she makes. Think of it. That's how I live my life, because, yeah, okay, look at me. No. That's, yeah, too many of those around. We don't care so much. I mean, good for them, right? I don't have an issue, but I think that you can make a big name for yourself just by making other big names, helping other people to get to that point. And then you're a real master. That's my thinking, at least. So
I'd have to agree with that. I'd have to agree with that. Thank you for sharing, Christina. I tell you just very quickly, because I'm going to ask B a question in a moment. I can remember 2023, I was in the US for about a month with Adriana. We did Prac and a few other things over in the US. Anyway, one day she turned around and she said to me, I think I was getting ready to come back to Australia. Oh, and you're helping me teach hypnosis trainers training. I went, what? And then
I remember that.
And I thought, it's all right, I can do that. And then I thought to myself, what am I doing? Oh, that's okay. I'm going to do this and this and this. And all of a sudden, everything just settled down in my head. And I went, oh. And then Adriana sends me this little audio. And she said, oh, by the way, you might just want to play this in the training. Okay. So I'm there, my little order and sequence of the training. Okay. All right. And I'm going to pop this little audio in at this stage of the training. Anyway, I got into this hypnosis trainers training, and it's very relaxing. And I'm trying to stay awake the whole way through, because you're teaching people and taking responsibility, because you're doing this for Adriana and you're doing it for the students. And okay, and then you get into the deep trance, and oh no, we're doing this next. Great. Anyway, the last day came and we had absolute all. And by the way, this year, everyone, Adriana is teaching the Master Trainer Hypnosis August. It's in the schedule, but this is for those people who've done Hypnosis Trainers Training already. And she's teaching it in August, US time. And I remember what we decided to do was that for the last day of that training coming up, those of us who've done Prac, Master Prac, 3-day hypno, if you want to be in the audience and watch the master trainers of hypnosis in action, then you need to let us know, because we can include you in the audience. It is something phenomenal to watch. So, when an opportunity comes your way, what do you do with it, right? What do you actually do with it? Now, I can remember back when I did my trainer's training some years ago, something happened in my life and I had to leave the training for 5 days. But never in my mind did I think I wasn't going to come back to finish it, because the only person who puts obstacles in their way, I said to myself, is me. So what's the obstacle and what's it there for? And what is my lesson to learn from it? And I returned after 5 days to NLP trainers training, thinking, all right, I've got 5 days to catch up. And you can imagine 5 days. I didn't once think, oh my goodness, there is so much work to catch up on. How am I going to do this? No, I set myself a goal and I said 5 days, each day, this is what I'm going to do. I can live on 3 hours sleep per night for a short period of time. No problem. I've got an end point and I'm going to achieve it. Anyway, when I got back to the training in Sydney, Adriana came up to me and she said, if you need any help, you just let us know. Well, the help came from everywhere, from the TJC team, from the coaching assistants, and they caught me up and I caught up at night time and I made it happen. So that was something that I learned, that if you want to achieve something, you will make it happen. And if you put obstacles in the way, the only person that you can talk to about the obstacles is yourself. Of that, I am certain. Without a doubt, of that I am certain. So just think, you've been through breakthroughs, everyone. You know exactly what I mean. And so today, for you, think about this, because your whole life is ahead of you. And when you have opportunities, ask yourself, why are they there? Because there's no such thing as a coincidence. So B, I'm going to pass over to B, because I got to tell you something, everyone. I take my hat off to this woman. In the middle of what happened last year during NLP Trainers Training, she showed up every single day. B, over to you. What does it take? What does it take to get to the point where you are now? What does it take?
Well, the sentence I learned from Adriana is that what does it take to be a trainer to begin with? All what you've got and some more. And whenever you have a very strong why, the how will take care of itself. I tested it firsthand in the 4 years I have spent with Dad James. Because when I enrolled in the training,
you're still having bombing going on right now.
Yes, yesterday.
Correct? Yes. I just saw in the movie. Now, think of it. This woman's having bombing right around her there, and she shows up here. I mean, I've never been put in a situation like this, so all my respect to you, B.
Actually, Adriana, the day I was doing my final presentation to graduate last year, my area was bombarded. So I was doing the presentation and all the glass windows were scattered, and I did not even blink because of the trainer's state. I think nobody noticed anything. And my phone was going crazy because everybody wanted to make sure I was fine, and my cat was going crazy, and I was as if I was in my own bubble. I had something to do. I have to make it work. So, and whenever I finished, I catered to everything else.
Yep. All my respect to you, by the way. All my respect to you.
In the meantime, whilst all this is happening in B's life during the bombings last year in NLPTT, and she fronted up, there was always a message that she was able to share, not only with the other coaching assistants, but also with the students. And it was almost like, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can do this. We can make this happen. We can make anything happen when you put your mind to it, right? About that.
Can I give you the first example that happened in my first year?
Yeah.
So I came to study timeline therapy because I was teaching it without knowing that it was a trademark. So when I knew this in my head, it was, I'm stealing from Tad. I never knew them in person. So in my head, since integrity was one of my top values, I had to learn it from the source. And then I knew that I had to go through NLP and Master NLP again. And I was already a trainer from another institution. So I said, come on, not again. But I decided to come with an open mind. And just like Adriana says, premature closure is like premature something else. So I decided to come with an open mind. And since day one, I was like, this is not what I learned. It was like the difference between a regular Nokia phone, which was a cellular phone. It was freedom and everything. But that was a smartphone. So it's totally different. So when I wanted to enroll in Train the Trainer, I did not have a single penny because we were in the middle of a revolution and the financial crisis and what have you. And when I set my mind that I want to enroll in this class, it took me 30 minutes to collect the money. So I dropped a message in the group of my trainees, and I told them, what if I tell you that I have a different certification where you can enroll in the American board with updated material? You need to pay a deposit within 5 days, and the full amount within 2 months. In like 30 minutes, I had 26 of my trainees enrolled, and I was able to pay the full amount. So there is always a way. If I'm not looking for an excuse, you want an excuse, you can find it. You want a solution, you can always find it.
I love that thinking, because I've spoken with a lot of trainers, a lot of students over 9 years now. When they tell me their story about how they made something happen, I just feel so humbled to be in their presence, because these people are teaching me something about what it takes to make something happen in your life in the most dire, difficult circumstances. And I mean dire and difficult circumstances. They take the excuse and go, yeah, I recognize that's an excuse. Here's an open door to an opportunity. What am I going to do with it? Shut the door and go, oh, a year later, oh, I wish I had done that. Well, a year has passed. Forget about it. That's just the way it is. Forget about it. So, Rommel, over to you. Oh, yeah, B's got one more thing. Go for it.
Can I just share one more thing about perception is projection, since we were talking about it?
Yeah.
So I always believe that everything that happens is my projection, but it really slapped me in the face when I was doing train the trainer for hypnotherapy, and we were doing the stage thing, and I asked Adriana, since I was Clayton in my class. So I asked Adriana, what would happen when I give a group suggestion and someone has an abreaction? So she told me, my friend, in my world, this doesn't happen. That would be your projection. And from the 150 students, I was the only one who had 2 cases of abreaction. So I gave them the suggestion that since I'm the bee, whenever I play with my bang, you're going to taste the honey in your mouth. So I had Shivani, who had severe abreaction for honey, and I had someone who had a phobia from bees.
Oh my God.
And I'm the only one who had an abreaction. So since then, I learned to clean my projection before doing anything.
Right.
I love that. And that's the thing. All the projections, right? Every single one of us. What are we doing with them, everyone? What are we doing with them? Think about that one.
Even more, Gina, I think we need to say that's why we need to be very careful. And I shared with you guys in the class, be very careful what comes out your mouth. There are always consequences. You never know who's sitting in front of you. You never know what allergic reactions or who knows what people have. So don't just go head on without thinking just because you experience it in a certain way. You're just you. Everybody else is different. It's an incredible, powerful set of techniques that you all have. But now you understand why you got to be so careful with every word that you put out.
They are spells. The words are a spell, and this is why we call it spelling. So we cannot throw spells at people without thinking.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, Rommel, here you are with this group of old girls. Can you tell us how it is that you've ended up being here? How it is that you ended up deciding that you were going to be a trainer, that you were going to keep working through all the tasks, being a coaching assistant, everything Adriana sets us along the way. And yes, it's a master trainer is a title, but it's how we live our life. So tell us a little bit about how you went from where you were to where you are now. And any secrets along the way.
I'm not quite sure where I am now, but I know it's in a really, really good place. Though I can tell you where I'm going, and it's an even better place. So where I was, oh gosh, where I was marketing and advertising. So I understood language was very, very important, right? Framing, how you illustrate something, visual, auditory, the kinesthetic, the emotion to get people to want something, to do something. And then I fell into the personal development hole. I did. I went everywhere. But here's the thing. I'm a systems engineer by academic training. I like spotting patterns. It's very dangerous to leave me alone. I would take apart the microwave. That kind of dangerous. And my parents loved it when I would take big things apart, right? Never leave me with a screwdriver. Now, because I found everything was always the same, I started looking around saying, I don't want to spend another 5,000 here, 10,000 in somebody else's mastermind, which is going to answer the exact same surface level questions and teach me the same thing with different words. It's a rebrand. It's a rebrand. And I said to myself, I got to go find the source. Where is this actually coming from? Because I don't want to have it in 50 different diluted flavors. I want the core. I want the core. And so I went looking, and that was a long journey. That was maybe about 5, 6, because everybody was all hush hush about it. They all had their own magic words, their own patented program for it. Eventually, I think it was the big TR. Tony Robbins let slip that, oh, it's actually NLP all at the end. I'm like, let me go look into that one. And then let me actually look into who's actually still teaching it correctly, like as close to the source as I can. And I found people of the Tad James lineage, right? The people who would teach it the way, because they got taught underneath TJC. I learned it from them. Eventually, after that, I went over to TJC directly. I went closer to the source as best as I could. And here I am learning it. And I got to tell you, the closer I've gotten to the source of the trainings, the higher the quality has been, the faster the changes in my life. Now, if you ask why I went to become a trainer, I went through practitioner, I went through master practitioner. I went through trainer's training. I became a trainer a few months before my son was born. Right? I became a trainer of NLP. It was October, November, one of the 2 months. It's a blur after a while. You don't remember the dates. You remember the days of the training. You're on day X of the training. But about 6 months before he was born, ish, 6, yeah. And I said to myself, now's the time I need to ensure that I'm going to have the life I want with this guy. And I need to make sure that I am best equipped, because I'm going to be talking to somebody who, and you guys know this from timeline therapy, has a complete blank slate and no gestalts. And what the heck is going to come out of my mouth? More importantly, how am I going to, it's one thing to take care of yourself, right? So, similar to what Adriana said, it's one thing to be great at the training. It's another thing to train people who are great. So how do I train the people around my environment? How do I have the skills to influence the environment around me so I can ensure that the environment around my son is ideal for him growing up? Because guess what? You can be enlightened, but if you can't talk to the guy next to you and do it at scale with one-to-many, how will you ever impact the people that you care about the most? You can do it one-on-one. Yeah, you can. How do you do it one-to-many? Trainer's training got me through that. Becoming an NLP trainer got me through that. And then that's part one. How do you get better at it? Yes, you can. Can you do it well? Yes, it'll come with experience. Yes, it'll do that. How do you shortcut that? How do you do it with intention? How do you do it faster? How do you do it better? Some people think that faster isn't necessarily better. No, not when it comes to trance, because it all does this right away. And if you're clear on it, you're clear on your projections and what you want, it's powerful stuff. So now I raise my son, and I would tell other parents, because I have friends who also have children around his age. And I tell them, hey, doesn't your kid do this? Why is it that you tell them don't run into the street, don't put that in your mouth, don't hit your sister? Oh, thanks, Mom. I wasn't thinking about that, but now I do. And I go, yeah. Had to make sure the people around me would not say it that way to my son. Had to train them, hence trainer's training, indirectly as best as I could in order to influence them such that they would respond a certain way, and they are better for it. My son is better for it, and the generations to come after that will be far better for it. Because right now, my son will look at something, and he's very articulate now, because he understands how well positioned I speak language. He knows to use I call them magic words, but really they're just words phrased appropriately. And he does fantastic things. Oh my gosh, does he do fantastic things? Now, I'm a new dad. I'm going to gush about my kid. So here's the main thing. One of the things I tell him, actually, I'll tell you what I tell some of my friends not to do. Not go run into the street, not that type of thing, but other scenarios. Because you might think, oh, yeah, that's easy. We know about not. We had our minds do the little thing when we got to that part, the non-mirror image reverse. Yeah, cool. What happens if, say you have a child and they got like an 80? It's not exactly something you'd be like, oh, you're so smart, but try harder. Because you know what happens when you tell kids they're smart, and there's lots of science around it. You tell them they're smart, they're gonna want to feel smart, and that becomes the main thing. They won't try harder. So what do you tell this kid? Try harder? It's like, I did good. I got like top 5% of my class. I did whatever. Really? You're giving them the wrong messaging. So how do you frame this instead? And I'm tempted to give the answer. Should I give the answer away? Should I let you noodle it? We know what it is with metaphors, don't we? Think about it carefully. I'll put it in the chat with Gina. She'll decide if she can share it later. But
Come
there's a
on.
certain way.
Come on. People are
Oh,
learning. Come on.
fine.
Go
Adriana
ahead.
loves closure in the training. Should I?
I'm
Yes.
I need for closure during the training time. Otherwise,
Do
no.
it.
But in the
Come on.
training,
Okay. I would tell him. I told him, tell your children to say, wow, the school, whatever it is that was doing the criteria, really underestimated you. I wonder how far you can go. Because what happens if you tell them, oh, you should try harder despite being top, top percentage? What happens if you tell them, oh, you're so smart, and they stop trying? Like the thinking stops being so linear, and you really got to get to the crux of the problem, right? And I get to do this now, and it's one of the reasons I always remind my son that he's so lucky, because I wonder what his projection is going to be like as he grows up constantly with that.
I
I
love
should
that,
buy a
Ronald.
lotto ticket on his birthday or something, but who knows?
Yeah. I love what you just shared, because it is indeed how we use language will impact a lot of what goes on in the minds of those who are around us, not just as parents, grandparents, uncle, teachers, whatever it is, trainers, right? It's what comes out of our mouth, which is why I always say, and you picked up on the A word, I think is really important, and that's that linear thinking. Linear thinking doesn't create success. Forget it. Do this,
okay.
then do this, then do this.
Can I? Because I'm always this way. I'm big
Go
picture,
for it.
and I'm a Sagittarius, so I always push the things further.
Yeah.
So, Roman, I want to ask you something, because and I know this is your area expertise, so that's why I want to ask you this. Because I'm reading a lot of reports, and really not Uncle Joe talking about it. All sorts of, people that people that I trust in their expertise. I know for a long time. I know their minds. I know how they think. And I see a lot of reports that actually, number one, because what we're dealing with now is AI, right?
Mhm.
So number one, AI hallucinates and gives you a bunch of rubbish. Stuff. Yeah, I like it. Stuff. Okay, I'll remember that. But secondly, that you figure out that even in prompting, you need to know how to use the language to get actually the response you want, because otherwise you get garbage. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct. The latest update actually didn't introduce additional reasoning capacity. It focused on vibes, making you feel correct and responding in a way that reaffirms what you thought it was, which is terrible for confirmation bias. So a lot of people are going around this thing saying, I think X, and it goes, yes, you're right, because here are all the reasons why. Unless you can specifically say, I want you to disagree with me, be a contrarian. Help me actually do it, because look at about the scientific method. You don't go around looking for proof that you're right. You go around trying to find all the ways you could possibly be wrong, and when you cannot be proven wrong, you know that you were correct. Right? We know this. We know this. You get a pattern, and everybody goes, "Oh, the first evidence is in the top of my head. I'm going to agree with it." And guess what? For everybody who's unconscious about it, they're going to go, "Oh, I was right." It's 10 plus. It did everything I wanted it to. I expected it to, but did it do everything that it should do to support and help you? This is a problem. A tool is a tool is a tool, right? iPhones are very expensive tools. My son knows that, but he'll still use that as a hammer.
That's cute.
I love it. So, with all this being shared with you all, where are your questions? We've got Adriana, Christina, B, Rommel, and even myself. Go for it, Ross.
Sorry if I've missed anything you've already kind of touched on with this, but I think my main interest is from each of you, kind of what would you say your highest purposes are, or like highest intentions? I know TJC and Adriana, the kind of tagline or slogan, which I think I kind of reinvented for my own almost. But if you could even be more specific on that.
Adriana.
Oh, me first? Okay. Well, you know that for years and years, Ted has had the slogan, transform the planet, right?
Yeah.
And he used to say in the training, for those of you who've been around and saw Ted, or maybe you listen to the recordings, he always say, you know, I'm out there, but I'm not stupid. I know that I can't do it alone. So his mission was, again, to train a lot of people that go out and train a lot of people that go out and train a lot of people, and so on and so forth, right? So this is how the model goes out. So I adopted that, and pretty much everybody that is aligned, you know, works under the same model. So I'm sorry, what was the question again? Because I just blanked out.
And I think even, yeah, thanks for that. That makes sense. And even if you could be even more specific to that, like, and so how would you see, what would be your definition of a transforming the planet? Like, how would you word that? Or however?
Here is the thing. I always, as I shared with you when I told you, how to do the detailed personal history, how to think about the presenting problem and so on and so forth. This is what I really do. I'm thinking myself, okay, this is the goal. This is what I want to achieve, okay? What prevents me from having it now? And then I work, if it's something that it can be dismantled by, if any things like limiting beliefs, decision, or whatever. But there are also steps in terms of step by step how to get there. So then I'm thinking specifically. So clearly, what is necessary the most in order for the consciousness of the planet to change, so we can, instead of a world that's rife with war, with financial problems, with difficulties, dealing with economic problems, inflation, this and that, fights between people. So what is the common denominator there? And in my world, and it's just my model of the world, right? But in my world, that is the level of unconsciousness. People have not been taught, and it's not by fault of anybody, by the way. This is not a judgment. This is simply a discrimination. Because we are not being taught as we grow up really how to think. No, I'm not joking here. We are not taught how to use this instrument that we have here and the mind. We're not. Before I got into NLP, I used to be like everybody else, away from motivated, hazy in my head, and righteous about it. Because I'm a talker, and for me, it was like no matter what I said, people, quote, yeah, no matter who it was, they just don't understand me. See, and nowadays, directly, so fast forward, that was when before my NLP training, but right now, what are we dealing with practically, my friends? We're dealing with people hunting hearts and thumbs up and approval, and I go, I got 600,000 followers. Do you know any of them? No. Do they buy anything from you? Do they want to be your coaching clients? Do they want to be? No, but it feels good. Well, that has nothing to do with thinking. That is a unconscious hunting for something that makes you feel good. Well, you're not going to amount to anything, by the way. No offense, eh? No offense intended. But reality is that if we really want to change something, we need to teach people how to think. Because most people have no clue how to think. about their own lives, about their own success. Everybody hunts, give me something overnight in a minute, you change me so I can make quick this, quick that, quick the other. And that's because most people don't know how to think correctly. And then really what's happening to me, I noticed this, and it's a great sadness for me personally, because I look around and I see people that have incredible potential and they just waste it. They absolutely wasted in trivial pursuits, being afraid of, oh, I don't want to do anything that requires work. I don't even want to think, because think requires effort. Listen, this mind here requires effort to think. Little they know that, you could install things unconsciously, so you begin to think in strategies that lead to success automatically. So they don't know what you know here, the relationship between things that you do automatically. And by the way, when I say the word automatically, I mean unconsciously, because any behavior that we do automatically is relegated to the unconscious mind, right? But they don't know how to do this. So in my world, if I help people to start to learn how to think, they can change anything they want, because their thinking becomes right for them. And it's critical thinking really to its max. And then the rest takes care of itself. Why? Because if this person changes and they think differently, they teach their kids, just by their presence, the way they think, their kids learn to think differently. And so it goes intergenerationally. That's what it is to me. And you wanted details, I gave you details. I hope I satisfied your question.
Yeah, it's a great answer. Thank you.
Thanks for asking, Ross. Thank you so much. Alama, you've got a question.
This has been amazing. While you guys have been talking, I've got these connections in my brain that's pushing me to create a program. I just want to know, somehow this program is asking me to create for teenagers. And I want to know what is the youngest have you trained? What age you guys have trained? That was the youngest person.
Technically, I'm training my 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3-year-old. Who can compete with that? I can't compete with that.
I've got a 2-year-old.
Nice. So I'm thinking if I want to do a group, because I know parents are training their children. Most of the trainers here are training their children, but I'm thinking if I can do it to a group, what would be the youngest age I can take?
B, which one was for you? What was the youngest you trained?
I'm more into 18 plus. So my expertise is not on training kids.
Okay.
The youngest?
I've done kids, I've done 2 to 12, but not in the same group. So I would approach, it depends what group age you want to go with, because you would approach that differently. So 2 to 4, it's a different approach, because the kids up until the age of 6, it's just the unconscious mind roaming around. So I went more doing hypnosis kind of trainings and elements, giving a lot of suggestions to them, playfulness, storytelling that I learned in NLPTT. Then there is another age bracket that I did, which was 5 to 6, and then 7, 8. It depends a lot on the age bracket, and how I learned so much from them, how they function, the conscious, the unconscious mind. And then obviously, as I went with 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, then that was different. I could teach them, different NLP techniques like report, sensory acuity. So doing NLP trainings, sort of, but you really have to customize it and adapt it to them. Be willing to get out of your comfort zone, be very playful with them, go out there and be with them, be present. But again, storytelling and doing it fun. I mean, teaching them the learning state, which is a great technique to teach kids, right?
Yes.
But then if I tell them, hey, stare at that dot spot on the wall and you will get into the learning state and you'll be able to learn so much easier, Kids, they don't go to school to learn, honestly. They go to school to play. They go to school for breaks. They don't care. It's the parents who are like, go and learn and take high grades and don't make me, make me proud of you.
Yeah.
But kids, they don't care about that. So why
Mm.
would I be interested in staring at a dot on the wall and getting into the learning state? I don't care, right? So I had to make it fun for them. So I brought in a darts game and I say, whoever hits the highest points wins I don't know what. So I made like a little competition. And obviously there would be some of them, many of them not hitting the target. And this is where the learning state, so looking at that spot on the wall, opening, the vision. And I kid you not, every time they went into that learning state, that this is what we call learning state, they immediately started hitting the mark. It was incredible. They were like, wow, that's amazing. So you have to make it fun for them, play games with them. And it's so amazing to work with kids because every single time a child has issues with school performance, it's not about school, it's not about learning. It's self-esteem, it's the relationship they have with their parents. Are they really connected with their parents?
Yes.
Oftentimes, the parents who say, leave your phone, put your phone down. The parents go like this. And I used to be like this, put your phone down. And I was having my phone in my hand. I mean, remember modeling? Kids do not learn by what you tell them consciously. Whatever you tell them consciously, especially if they're before 6, is like bypassing them, like, foo, foo. They don't hear it, right? So they model you. And whatever you do, this is what they will do, right? So it goes back to having a lot of being mindful of what am I doing? What am I teaching my kids? And kids don't spend time on their devices because they're nasty or they're spending time because they're looking for a connection, and that connection is with you. And it's so profound because I remember a kid in school. So we were doing these things. And by the way, they are so creative. I did with one of them, like the pain paradigm. He was having some, pain, and I did that with them. And the next time I went and see them in class, one of the girls says, Miss, guess what? I was in my swimming class and there was this boy who just wouldn't jump in the swimming pool. And I asked him, what emotion are you feeling now? What emotion are you feeling now? And he said, after he told me all this, he just dived right in. And I was like, whoa, that's an incredible utilization of that. I had never thought of that. So they model you and they utilize everything just, they're out of the box thinking. But going back, I did with them timeline therapy, I did hypnosis, and it's absolutely incredible. And it's all about their self-esteem, their relationship with the parents. I can go on and on and on about working with kids. They're absolutely amazing, but it's all about having fun, you going out of your comfort zone and making them feel safe, feel seen. One of them, I remember one day he saw me what I was doing, like speaking with them, let them, empty out. And he said, I have an issue. And I said, come on, can I talk to you? And I said, of course, come talk to me. What's going on? He said, well, my parents are divorcing and I just don't know how to deal with it because my mother's. So he wanted to save the marriage, which most of the kids do. And it's these days, if you look around, there are so many kids suffering because what's going on in the family, because many people, they're separating and they don't know how to deal with that. They believe it's their fault when it's not. So I just had a little conversation with him, helped him through, with the negative emotions. So there's so much you can do to help them. And as soon as they're back on their feet, like I'm, I school performance, it's gonna be like easy peasy for them.
Christina,
It's not
I'll
gonna
add
be an issue.
I'll add this one thing too. Prac, learning strategies. I actually wasn't targeting the children, although they're the end recipient of this. I was targeting the parents. I was trying to teach the parents learning strategies. So you need the eye tracking test, and this is for a bunch of parents who thought their kids were dyslexic. right? Or whatever other label people put on them. And I put SUC, CESS, two different color markers. And I put it up there and I put it over after I did the eye tracking test where I thought the visual recall was and auditory recall was, and I taught them the learning strategy. Look at it up here, not like that. Look at it up here. This is my left, by the way. For you, it would be over here. I'll do it as a teacher then. Your left. Look at it with your eyes and say it out loud, and then check how good it feels, and let them run around. And then I have the conversation with the parents, and I give them the frames about how you talk about them differently and do all these things. Had the kids come back, and I asked them to spell the word, and they all did it successfully. Okay, well, one kid fubbed up spelling Mississippi. One too many S's, but that was that's a different thing. They were like 4. Okay, it's fine.
Who wouldn't, Ramo? Who wouldn't? Come on.
And
Why did they put so many S's
he
in
didn't know the
Mississippi?
song. He didn't know the song, right? But here's the thing: the belief that the parents had projected onto the children shattered, right? And the children believed in themselves. So working with children, you can do it at any age. The main thing I want to say is make sure that, yes, they're the end recipient of it. Know that if you want to be highly effective with it, also think about what else is going to impact them as well so that they can be resilient.
I love what you were saying about resilience because the youngest group I've worked with is 9, 10, 11. So I group them like Christina was saying, 9, 10, 11, because once they get 12, 13, 14, it's a different approach to take. And then, of course, 15, 16 was different. But I give you an example. Christina was talking about something, storytelling. They were so in love with storytelling. And by the way, you learn the art of storytelling in NLP-TT like no other. Believe me.
Well, listen, everybody loves stories, Gina. We adults love to share stories. We tell each other our what happened during the day, what we heard, what this and that all the time. That's the easiest way to communicate. Stories.
Adriana, actually, this is why in all the holy books they use stories as well, because it's the best way to install the information.
Yes, absolutely. All over the planet, every important book in religious or otherwise philosophical from ancient times, all is full of stories. But they are done purposefully, constructed in a certain way, not just, But I personally, I don't have an experience working with young kids because I do adult trainings. But the youngest was a 9-year-old. And here's the condition. Here's my condition for them. You can come to the training, that's all fine, if you promise you're going to behave like an adult. And I promise, and now here is the fun part. So we get to the breakthrough session. Okay, Master Prac. This kid, a boy, 9-year-old, he's in the Master Prac. And he asked very intelligent questions, and he's behaving like an adult, no trouble, no problem whatsoever. He gets to the breakthrough session, and by the time trainings were live, right? I'm looking at somewhere over there. Here is this 9-year-old kid working with this man in his 50s. Okay, the breakthrough session goes on, and everything's fine. And all of a sudden, the guy, the older fellow, jumps off the chair and goes, "Damn it!" And I go, "Ooh, what did the kid do?" Right? My first thought. And I go round there and I go, "Everything okay?" And he goes, "If a kid 9-year-old can do this, what's that telling you?" And I go, "Okay, everything's fine." The kid did a phenomenal job at 9. At 9-year-old. Now, I don't know if all 9-year-olds can do this, but that's my criteria. You can come to the training, but you have to behave exactly like an adult. Okay. There you go.
Can I add one thing, Adriana? I think it's easier for kids to learn because they don't have the belief that they cannot. So they are not stopping themselves. They don't overanalyze, paralysis by analysis. So they just go with the flow and it just happens.
They don't have all the reasons we adults know. I can't because, and then come all the intellectual analysis reasons. Kids don't have any of that. That's right.
No, and this is why Jesus said, "Be like kids and follow the kids. They will lead the way."
That's it. Isn't that interesting?
There's nothing in NLP that you cannot teach kids. Nothing. Because remember, NLP doesn't come from NLP. It's things that people have been doing since always. And it's they learn very easy. So
I agree with that. I agree with that. And you know what else children love? Even teenagers, teaching them timeline therapy. Oh my goodness. I think the youngest person, well, I was working with a 10-year-old and we were doing NLP, then we were doing timeline therapy, and she got it and she went, oh my goodness. It was almost like, get out of my way. I'm going to put a goal in the future and I'm going to make it happen. And she did. She made it all happen and she's still doing it now. Her favorite thing, storytelling, trainer state, which you all learned when we were doing the MPRAC modeling day. And her cylinders were always perfect. And could she command a presence in a debate at the age of 11? Yes. Did she achieve her goal of becoming a champion of debating, the youngest ever in Southeast Queensland? Yes, she did. You can do all this. You can do all this. All of us can do all this. It's phenomenal. Now, Adriana, Alam, does that answer your question? We could go on about this all day, but I'm looking at time. And Adriana, there are two hands up. What do you want to do? It's 1:09 p.m. Go for it.
Let's take the questions. Let's take the questions, and well, I'll make sure that everything's in the afternoon. That's my job. I'll do it.
Isabella, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. My question for you is, what do you do each day to sharpen your mind? You've reached the highest level in NLP, and now how do you continue to learn? What do you do to learn? Where do you go for your learning?
I'm going to you first.
Me?
Yeah.
Remember when I told you Adriana is my new Netflix? So every single day I make it a point to listen to some of the recordings or watch some of the videos. So the best product I can offer my clients or my graduate is the updated version of myself. And I lead by example. So when I tell them to push themselves every single day so that they do not become obsolete and simply a piece of paper on the wall, I need to lead by example. So I force myself to give them a master class every month where I need to update myself so that I do not seem like a broken record. I have an open retake for my graduates, so I cannot give the same class every single year. There always need to be something new. So there is the basic information that I need to give and a lot more. So it's a huge motivation for me to learn something new every single day.
And you're running by me a lot of very interesting questions, B, I have to admit. You know, every time you send me questions and all this, they're very, very interesting and a lot of new thinking. I have to agree with every single time I see something new coming from you. Wonderful.
I love it. I love it. What about you, Rommel? What's that one thing you do? Sharpens you.
Well, when I observe my son a lot, but that's not as much. The other thing is there's always something new to learn because, you might look at something and think it's real, but it's not, right? Things are not always real. And when you take a second look at something, even if you revisit something that you all think you already know, you're going to find so much more. So do I always have to look for something new? Yeah, it doesn't have to be a completely new thing. I can always find something new in something existing. And that is mastery. That's actually what I got with the Master Trainer program. I got to relook at everything from Prac, Master Practitioner Training, again, to the level degree that allowed me to access mastery.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Christina, what about you?
So there are actually two things. First of all, is perception is projection every day. I mean, work on whatever, and I love to get myself out there, challenging situations, stretch myself really every day and work with that. And remember, in teaching others, we teach ourselves. Every time I teach, even if it's the same practitioner material, I teach, I speak, I get into the trainer state and all the beautiful things I learned in trainers training. And as I'm doing that, it's like there are some things coming out of my mouth. It's like, where did this come from? That's an interesting realization. I never noticed this before. And if I wasn't teaching this, I wouldn't have spotted that. So this is very, very powerful. And I mean, In teaching others, we teach ourselves. So go out there, teach this stuff, because you will teach yourself and you will learn you yourself so much more and expand. And people have like, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to do the same thing again and again and again. This is not school. This is not traditional education. This is different. This is like you're utilizing your mind, you yourself, your whole body, you're processing, because the unconscious mind is the intelligence that runs the body, right? So you learning how to be fully present with yourself and with others and going through a learning experience. Learning is not theory. Learning is when you do it in action. People don't get this. They think, oh, I learned the manual, I learned all this. It's not learning. That's memorizing. It's a huge difference. You learn when you experience it, when you put yourself into, in the middle of the action. And oftentimes action is always messy. And I was chatting yesterday with Queen, I remember. If it's not messy, it's not memorable. And oftentimes it's like we're going through and delivering the training, and it's like things come, things happen in life, in
Always.
whatever. But it's like, a plane that goes through turbulence. What do you call, the captain doesn't go, oh, we're going through turbulence, we're gonna stop the engine. No, they don't do that. They just keep flying. You keep
I hope
going.
not.
Yeah, exactly. So no matter what, stay focused on your target and just keep going. Sometimes it's gonna be a little bit like this, sometimes it's gonna be smooth, sometimes, but again, it's you. It comes down to you, okay, and learning. Hope that answered.
Adriana, would you allow me to share something that happened with you?
Oh, go for it.
Sure. Go
So
ahead.
go for it.
Like 2
I
years
didn't do
back,
anything to be ashamed of, so you can share
no,
whatever you
actually, it's something very funny. 2 years back, I was in real overwhelmed because I was giving my first official American board training. And right after that, it was 4 days after finishing Train the Trainer. And then after that, I was launching my signature program. So I was like up to here. So I asked Adriana, do you think I should reschedule one of them? So she explained to me the chewing gum theory. So would you like to share it with them? How you...
No, you do it. You do it.
So she told me I'm just like a chewing gum, so I can always expand it more and more and more. So it's not the linear thing. It's more like how much you can stretch yourself. And obviously I did it all. I'm still alive. I'm stretching myself even more. So whenever I'm overwhelmed, I get a chewing gum, which became my anchor, and I can stretch myself even more.
Don't you love that? Yeah, it's in the mind, isn't it? I mean, even if you're chewing gum, you're taking some sort of action there, and it makes you realize you can do a lot more than you thought you could. And didn't Adriana say to us very early on, you are more than you think you are?
I trust you more than you trust yourself.
Exactly.
And I stole it from you, and I use it with my graduates as well.
Yeah.
But see, the first time I said this, I said it as Christina said, stuff came out my mouth. I didn't even realize it as I said it. But I was saying, and it was, I didn't say it before. It was probably around 3 or 4 years ago, and it was in a trainer's training, because that's when people go, oh my God, I'll have to present, what's going to happen, and all this kind of, blah, 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 in their heads at the beginning. And honestly, I look at them and I go, I really trust it, because I know they'll do well by the end. They don't. I've seen enough groups and number of people to know that everybody does well, because it's my job to do the installation at the unconscious level, right? While I keep their mind busy with conscious stuff, I do the installation. And I know they'll do well. Everybody is capable, but they don't. And so then I said, I trust you more than you trust yourselves. And by the way, my friends here in the Master Practitioner, the same goes for you. You sit there going, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do the other? How am I going to do all your stuff? And I know that if you're willing to, it won't happen by magic, by the way, and nobody else will make it for you. That's for sure. But if you are willing to, and you are willing to put in the work, I know that you'll make whatever you want. I have this belief, take it or leave it, it's just sharing. I always had this belief, and probably, if you ask me what was the root cause the first time, my unconscious mind says immediately my grandmother. See, my grandmother grew in the generation back in Romania. She was born, for crying out loud, 1917. So in that generation, girls were married for very early in life, and they didn't have an education. She always wanted to become a kindergarten teacher. She loved kids. And at the age of 16, she had my mother. Can you imagine this? A kid having a kid, right? But in her always was this thing that she couldn't achieve she couldn't do what she wanted to. That was the society at the time, like it or not. That's how it was, right? And so she put in me. I grew up with her, right? She put in me all her desire to achieve something that she couldn't in her life. And so I guess somewhere along the way, when I was very, very young, a kid, maybe even a toddler, because I grew up with her since I'm 18 days old. And she said to me something, and I don't hear her in my head saying this, but I have my whole body says it was her. Because I have this absolute belief, and it's as true as the sun's coming out tomorrow. Even if it's pouring cats and dogs now and it's windy like hell here, I know that sun's coming out. That's how I know that belief. And do you want to know what the belief is? Or do you care?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So here is the thing. I can achieve anything I want to if I'm willing to put in the work. So if I want now, I'm pretty old, right? But if I want now to go to medicine school and study brain surgery to become a brain surgeon, I would do it if that would be important to me. Now, I know it will take 6, 7, or 8 years out of my life. But the question is, do I want it, or I'm just saying? If I want something, it always happens. I just need to want it. And I need to make up, I'm not flimsy, see? I'm not flimsy, oh, maybe this, or oh, that sounds good. No. I think very carefully before I agree to do something. But when I agree to do something, I get it done. And so I think if you want to be at the top of what you could really be, in your own domain, in your own area, doesn't matter what you do. Everywhere, not only in the field of NLP, everywhere. I think you need to push yourself and give up the comfort zone. The comfort zone leads you to laziness. And then you have all the reasons why you couldn't. Oh, it wasn't for me. Oh, I didn't have money. Oh, I didn't have the time. Oh, I was stretched. Oh, it wasn't the right time, etc., etc., etc. Just to make yourself feel better. But that's not, to me, that's not a life lived to the fullest. I imagine I have very, very long living people. I mean, all my family on both sides of my parents, grandparents, and so on and so forth, they lived over 100. They really lived very long. And so I always imagine, going over 100, or at least 100. I think that the worst thing for me, that's already purgatory, seriously, is to look back at my life and go, if I'd only ... If I'd only trusted myself, if I'd only tried it, if I'd only pushed that harder, and so on and so forth. That to me is purgatory. Because then I would find myself, and I know I got timeline therapy, I should not do that, but to me it's like I wouldn't have a full life, a completed life, a real purpose. See, some people know their purpose from the moment they're born. They just know. They come in this world and they know, I'm going to do this and this is my purpose. That's not my case. And probably many of you have experienced the same thing. My purpose is what I do right now. So I was a concert violinist. I had to achieve everything that I wanted to achieve there. I did solo, I did international competitions, 17 of them, by the way, 17 years. Got trophies, got wins. I became concertmaster of an orchestra. I did chamber music. I taught at the conservatorium. I did everything, okay? And that was my purpose then. And then all of a sudden, with all that, that was that, guess what happened? Alice levels. Because it was not important to me. I don't hate it. I don't miss it. I'm indifferent. Because it's complete, it's done. And then all of a sudden, this is my purpose. And what I do tomorrow is my purpose. So who knows, maybe until, I'll get really old and die, because I'm going to work to the day I die, by the way. I'm never going to retire. That's, getting brain dead very quickly. But maybe I'll change. So my purpose is, I know it has to do with communication, because music is communication, NLP is communication. I know it has to do with teaching, even way before, even I was still in my university years, and I would use metaphors to teach people, to advise them, to get them out of a bad mood, and what I know it's around this. The format it may take may change, but it's around this. I know, because why? How do you know that you're meant to do something or not? It drives you. It drives you. You don't drive it. It drives you. It motivates you. And then your natural gifts, whatever they may be, everyone has a natural gift, at least. They come out, and you make the most out of them, and you're good at it. See, I'm going to say something, and some of you will say, oh my God, Adriana is so arrogant. No, I'm not saying in arrogance. I know I'm good at this shit. I really know I'm good. I can stand my ground with anybody doing NLP in the world, and I'll win. And it's not even about winning. I know I'm good.
Because you did the work. You work on yourself.
But I still do work.
Yeah, it's not sense of entitlement like I'm good. It's more like you did all the work and you trust that you did the work.
It's not the entitlement, it's knowing what I can do. It's just, I know what I can do. I don't feel any, I don't do it for pedestal and, all that stuff. But at the same time, I know what I can do, and I know I'm good at it. Because how I know I'm good at it? Based on the results. Based on how you guys are. See? That's my reassurance strategy. Because if you're good, that means I did a good job. It's very simple. And the most successful trainers in the world, and we're not connected anymore because, as you know, you're independent, you have your own lives, that there is no codependent relationship. Friendship, yes. Sharing stuff, yes. Helping each other, yes. But that's not a codependent relationship. And most good trainers in the world come from our company. That's how I know I'm good. It's very rewarding to me. It's very, very rewarding. And when I see, some of you have shared what just happened just during exercises and what aha moments you had during this training. And those are the moments when, in my mind, and I think I even told you, and I'm not, this is happening every single time. I go, damn, these things work. Look at this person, look what I did. I broke through something. And you know what? That's so meaningful, because there is another human being that, because I said a little thing or I taught them a little technique or something like this, they themselves managed to grow themselves. And that's important to me. That is very important to me. And I'm trying every time, and you guys that have taken trainers training, you know what I'm talking about. This is something I'm trying to instill in all the trainers. Find your own passion, find your own reason to do it. For me, it's maybe, for sure it's different from you. I'm not trying to make cookie cutters. No, That's not the point. Your own individuality, your own personality, your own everything has to be there in order for you to be good at what you do. Because this is not a matter of copycatting somebody. It's learning how to be you. Most people don't even know how to be themselves. They just copy. But when you manage to do all this, and these folks here that are today here, they're just a few. If we go through the list, you know, there are so many people. Some of them, they don't even like me anymore. They learn from me, but they don't like me anymore. Fine. They're good. That's my point. They're good at what they do. And because of their work, they empower others, who empower others, who empower others. If we all sit on the couch, my friends, if we all sit on the couch and go, well, I don't have today, I'll do it tomorrow. Remember the evil word in my vocabulary? Tomorrow. If we keep postponing our lives, then we have no right to complain that our money is not good, that our relationships are not good, that our health is not good, because nobody's doing anything. And if nobody's doing anything, then we should shut up and put up with whatever life throws at us, because we haven't taken any action. And you don't have to come out and trumpet it all over the media and do, no. You can take a lot of action quietly, under the radar, so to speak. We don't claim ever that we get rid of chronic pain. 25 years of chronic pain. What, am I stupid? No, I'm crazy, but stupid I'm not. Last time I looked in the mirror, it's not really stupid on my forehead. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to teach as many people as I can. You see how it works? In my mind, in my model of the world. So this is just me. Thanks.
Thank you, Adriana. I think the message is loud and clear, everyone. The message is loud and clear. Where you're going to next really depends on what's going on up here, right? Don't end up being 120 years old and just saying, I wish I had, because you can't turn the clock back. You can take action right now. We got one last question. Rachel La Greca from Melbourne.
Hi. I really love when you guys get together and talk about those real human stories about how these tools change people's lives, and so much quicker than some other ways. I want to hear about one of your most memorable favorite clients of all time that comes to mind in a non-business sense, where they came to see you, and if you didn't have the skills, you think, oh my gosh, your life is such a mess, just give up, it's just everywhere. But they've come to see you and they've worked with you, and then you've checked in and they did that over here, but now they're doing this. And just those real changes that to the world will seem impossible, but non-business related, in an emotional sense, a relationship, or how it improved a relationship with a child that was disconnected. Your mind will tell you what you need to say, but yeah, just something like that. I'd love to hear that if someone's got a story about that. Most memorable client, it was like, wow, this is why I do this. This is amazing.
Dina, over to you. I've heard a lot of Christina's stories about clients, so I'm going over to her first.
So most of the clients I see, they don't come for business-related purposes. They come with, when the client comes, one of them, the first one that came to mind, she was in a car accident, nothing serious, but just something, that really left her with this, she didn't want to get into a car anymore, or she was uncomfortable being in a car with her husband. Anyways, it started there with a session around that. And every time I see a client, again, just like Adriana says, don't go into the content, go into the structure. What is going on actually out there? What are her negative emotions, the patterns, and so on that's preventing her? So we did a couple of sessions, then she came to Prac. We did work at Prac. She was in a sales position, and it was September. She hadn't done, she was barely at 20% in her sales. She did the Prac. I don't know what realizations she had. She did work with herself. It was September. Before the end of the year, she hit 300% of her sales target. I mean, the company had to redo the bonus scheme because of that. They were like, whoa, how is this possible? Then she got pregnant. Actually, so I worked with her through some of her limiting beliefs. And then as she had a child, she became a mother. Then obviously the struggles with being a mom, the postpartum depression, and then the relationship with her husband. And well, she came to Master Prac. Now she's doing a lot of funny things with the pendulum and she's adorable. And what I'm saying here that it's a journey. And she continues to work as of this day. She got this perceptionist projection. And I cannot tell you, she's like, wow, the kind of relationship she has with her husband. She recently told me she was at a party with friends, and her husband was like preaching the other man that the first thing he does when he goes home, he goes and hugs the love of his life, and they have this wonderful relationship. I mean, in a relationship, people go like, I gotta, after love and all this infatuation. But it's so rare to have people in a relationship really liking each other and being in each other's presence. It's so difficult. And yet, so she got to that place where they're sharing. It's like, I trust you with my soul. And the relationship with her daughter has changed tremendously. It's like her daughter, obviously, perception is projection is with your kids, and the kid cannot take responsibility for your projections. So she took responsibility, and every time she was triggered about whatever the daughter, I think her daughter now is 4 years old. So it's been 4 years of continuous work. I mean, ever since we met, she got this, that I gotta keep working on myself. And clients, even if they come to see you for business, or irrespective which angle or which area of life they'll come to see you, you're going to be their companion or their guide for their life journey and the milestones. I remember she was in labor and she was messaging me, I don't know what's going on. And I recorded a hypnosis and I shared it with her to help her. And even back, during the labor hours, she was so aware of herself and what's going on? Why isn't it's easy? It's supposed to be easy if I speak with my own unconscious mind. And then she had this huge realization, like whenever we hold to things happening this way because I want it this way. But when she let go of that, things gotta be this way. So it's huge. And this is just one example. And every single client I work with, and they've stayed with me because I'm there for the journey of a lifetime. They're not there for just, a little, more profit in business, more this, more that, that's fine. But they're experiencing life. They want to enjoy their lives. They want to enjoy who they are. They want to, enjoy their relationship. How many people do you know who they would give everything? They may have made all the money in the world, but they're just miserable with who they are, with their relationship. So it's turning those kind of lives around and having people be happy with themselves, happy with their lives, happy with the people in their lives, her relationship with her parents. And it's the same with every single, I make them aware that it's not, even if you have a problem in your business or in this relationship, it's not just one little thing. And then you're going to be drinking cocktails or sitting on a cloud, somewhere in a nirvana state for the rest of your life. No, life is a journey. And it's one journey after, and it's milestone after milestone after milestone. And there's always more. So keeping an open mindset, again, it's something that I teach them. And every single client I have is special. I just gave you one example, but there's another one who was like, in her life, like not making money or living on a handicap type of support, thinking that she would have to go through the third back hernia surgery. And she did Master Prac, Master Prac, all of that. And then she realized that, hey, I don't need any back hernia surgery. She went and did an MR scan and it was gone. I didn't do anything to her. She just learned this and she did the work, and she's even here today. And I'm really proud of her, how far people can come in their lives. You have no idea. And always hold your clients to the highest regards, their highest potential, the highest regards. Who am I to say that you should do this or you should do that? I'm barely, able to say this for myself. Who am I to say that
Right.
there's only this
Right.
far that you can go, right? But I give them the tools to tap into their own potential, to keep going larger and bigger and more and more and more. But this more and more and more doesn't mean that one day you'll arrive somewhere. You never arrive anywhere. You keep expanding. I don't know how to, I mean, Adriana put it as a spiral, and it's not like you're building, you're climbing and building your own mountain at the same time. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you never arrive at the top and say, oh, I've done it, I'm stopping here. I don't believe in such a thing. So I hope I answered your question, but I really love all my clients dearly, and I just hold them to the highest intention, and I know they're capable of great things, and I just project that onto them. And I watch them, and I'm really happy to witness their stories and their breakthroughs, and it's really amazing. I think you're on mute, Gina.
Gina, you're
That
on mute.
that encapsulates so much of, I suppose, the why. Coach B always talks about the why. That encapsulates so much of the why, that pull towards why you do what you do in this world. And why is it that we've ended up being trainers, and why we go that journey? Because like Christina says, you don't arrive, you keep growing. You keep growing and think about your purpose in life. Think about your purpose, because it's not down near the ground, everyone. It's not down near the ground, not down near the ground at all. Adriana, I'm looking at time. I think we need to wrap this up.
I think we need to wrap this up, yes.
So my thanks to...
It's been fun, by the way. Really, it's been fun. What can I say? Thank you for all questions. Thank you for putting it together. It was very enjoyable.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone for being here, for listening. And we certainly hope that you're processing some of the sentiment that we have, the passion that we have for what we do, because there is so much more out there, and you can make it happen. You can absolutely make it happen.
If I may say just one thing.
Go for it.
If you take nothing out of all this, just take one thing. Don't ever stop yourself from doing what you really want to do. If you feel for something and you know it's good for you, I mean, I'm not saying feel for something that's not good for you, right? I mean, no, I'm not advising any kind of behavior like that. But if you feel something that's good for you and you want something, find ways to do it. There are always ways. Now, you may have to put on work, yes, nothing plops in your lap. But just remember that, and just say to yourself, inside you, I know I'm better than I think I am right now. I know I'm more than I think I am right now. I'm not sure what, that remains to be discovered, but I know that. And then go and make that happen.
Well, that's it for everyone. Adriana, should we take a break?
We must take a break.
Yes, we need to replenish water, coffee, tea, juice, smoothies, bathroom break, and 15 minutes, Adriana? And be back in 15 minutes, because Adriana's got something for us. That's right.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, Rommel, for being here at this time of the day in Canada to share with us.
15-minute break starts now. Ready, go.